Mississippi begins in the lobby of a Memphis, Tennessee hotel and extends south to the Gulf of Mexico. It is dotted with little towns concentric about the ghosts of the horses and mules once tethered to the hitch rail enclosing the county courthouse, and it might almost be said to have only those two directions, north and south, since until a few years ago it was impossible to travel east or west in it, unless you walked or rode one of the horses or mules. In the beginning, it was virgin. From Faulkner's essay, Mississippi. Our study of William Faulkner for the 2010 maymester class at the University of Arkansas Fort Smith took us to Oxford, Mississippi, home of the University of Mississippi and Faulkner's home of Roanoke. We stayed on campus at the inn at Ole Miss. While on campus, we were treated to a private lecture and tour at the University of Mississippi Archives and Special Collections, a highlight of our time in Oxford. The archivist shared with us many first edition Faulkner novels, all signed foreign editions of his novels, and original manuscripts. The archives, located in the J.D. Williams Library, is also home to the Roanoke Papers. These manuscripts were found in a broom closet of Faulkner's home and contain several thousand pages of handwritten and typed drafts of novels, poems, short stories, and film scripts, mostly written between 1925 and 1939, considered some of Faulkner's most productive years. The archives also house Faulkner's Nobel Prize for Literature, awarded in 1949.
The street runs on ahead, where the square opens and the monument stands before the courthouse. We mount again while the heads turn with that expression which we know, from As I Lay Dying. Oxford Square, centered around the Lafayette County Courthouse, is a mixture of the old and the new. An event from Faulkner's childhood that occurred in front of the courthouse itself gave Faulkner inspiration for a scene in Light in August. A black man was lynched and his body was left hanging in a tree beside the courthouse when Faulkner was young. This memory served as the model for Joe Christmas's death. The square was also inspiration for the layout of Faulkner's Yoknapatawpha County and its county seat, Jefferson. Faulkner wrote about his little postage stamp, drawing from both the good and bad that he saw there. The square is a testament to Faulkner and his works, and reminders of his influence are found there today. Now lined with restaurants, boutiques, and bookstores, Faulkner's little postage stamp has undoubtedly changed, but it remains a place full of history and inspiration. The highlights of the square for our class was the independent bookseller, Square Books. We spent hours exploring the shelves and finding awesome souvenirs of our Oxford experience. A group of English majors who live for books and a great bookstore is a dangerous combination.
The walk through Bailey's Woods provided us with a mystical and magical experience. They were the very woods that Faulkner himself walked admiringly through countless times. Walking through the woods and being so cut off from civilization made us wonder if, when we emerged, we were going to be in 2010 or back in Faulkner's Yoknapatawpha County. It was of the wilderness, the big woods, bigger and older than any recorded document, a white man fatuous enough to believe he had bought any fragment of it. Home again, his native land, he was born of it and his bones will sleep in it. From Faulkner's essay, Mississippi. The first walk up Roanoke's long front drive had a hushing effect, and made us slow down and quit talking. When the pebbles crunched underfoot and the branches of the cedar trees swished overhead, there was a feeling that perhaps there were secrets on his place that wouldn't be told, but only suggested. The same feeling became palpable with the peek into Mamie Callie's cabin, the stables, or when the front porch creaked under our footsteps. There was another feeling on the 32 acres, though. It came in sort of an ambush when the sun made its way through a maze of branches and heated up the waxiness of the magnolia blossoms, wafting down the lemony, heady scent, and each member of the class realized that Faulkner's tales are also our stories, stories he's letting us have. We felt this because we experienced his land, Roanoke.
We also explored the interior of Roanoke. We were welcomed into Faulkner's home by the current curator, Bill Griffith, who led us on a private, behind-the-scenes tour of the house. We entered the library, where a vast array of Faulkner's and other authors' books lined the shelves. Faulkner's office was a favorite of the class, with his worn typewriter and his handwritten outline of his novel, A Fable, scrawled right on the wall. The sun filtered through the blue gingham curtains in the kitchen, and it was easy to see why this charming room was among Faulkner's favorites. Upstairs, we explored the family bedrooms. Faulkner's room revealed his passion for horses, with his riding clothes laid out as if the bard himself would return to dress and head to the stables. We ended our private tour in the parlor, where Faulkner also made his final appearance in the house during his wake.
While sitting on the front porch of William Faulkner's home, our class had the opportunity to listen as Dr. Keith Fudge read from Faulkner's short story, Was. We were immersed in a feeling of awe, being at Roanoke, sitting on the front porch, experiencing Faulkner's words and the land that he wrote them. The reading brought to life the author and his characters, and we began to understand a little better the McCaslin family through the faded poker game that was presented to us visually by Dr. Fudge.
As we walked up to Faulkner's gravesite, taking our pictures and noting the gifts left there by other visitors, there came a moment when we became suddenly very quiet. Sitting or standing around the grave in a companionable silence, it was as if we had felt the weight of this man and the words he wrote. The visit to the gravesite brought everything full circle, his life, his time, and his writing. Though Faulkner is dead, he will live forever in his written words. He succeeded in making himself immortal. As Faulkner said himself in his Nobel Prize acceptance speech,
I believe that man will not merely endure, he will prevail. He is immortal, not because he alone among creatures has an inexhaustible voice, but because he has a soul, a spirit capable of compassion and sacrifice and endurance. The writer's duty is to write about these things. The poet's voice need not merely be the record of man. It can be one of the props, the pillars to help him endure and prevail.